BBOR, Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. Well, this is our mini upload for the day, and this is mostly a true crime channel, but this is a type of case that we've never actually covered before. Back when we did our upload on Jens Suring, I was talking about the comedian Sam Kinison a little bit, and I came across an article from Entertainment Weekly that was talking about the death of Sam Kinison and some of the things that were some of the circumstances surrounding his death, if you will. Before we get to that, we just have to have a little bit of an introduction.
Blue, you ever been married? You do me a favor? If you ever think you want to get married, if you ever think you've met the right woman, you want to settle down, you want to get a house, you want to get a car, maybe raise a family, do me a favor, will you, Lou? Remember this face.
Oh yes, the iconic screaming comedian Sam Kinison, a truly funny talent. But yes, we're going back today to April 10th, 1992, and it was on that night that Sam Kinison died in a car crash. He died in an auto collision when his Trans Am was hit by a pickup truck, and the driver behind the wheel was a 17-year-old who was under the intoxication of alcohol. Now, this is something that it was written up by Entertainment Weekly. I actually think that it's kind of a nice way that they presented the article. It's called Kinison's Death in the Fast Lane, and they just sort of presented it in just a very good narration, although this was written about 5 years after his death. This article was written in 1997, and he, of course, died in 1992. But some of the first things that people would note about the death of Sam Kinison is that they're saying in this that after the car crash, which, remember, once again, he was hit head-on by a pickup truck, it appeared that he only had minimal injuries. It appeared that he was mostly fine, but then he just began to have a conversation with somebody, and then saying that he did not want to die, and then he was apparently talking to someone who wasn't there, and then began to whisper, "Okay, okay, okay." And they said the final "okay" was just so calm, and then he was just gone, and he passed away right there. And the real reason for the kind of slow, gradual transition from some guy who seemed like he didn't have any sort of major issues to dying right then and there was that he had an enormous amount of internal issues, an enormous amount of internal damage. Even the aorta was completely ruptured. And I believe, if I recall from health class in high school, aorta is like the largest artery in the body, so that would have been an enormous amount of internal bleeding. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this one for the mini upload was, they say as well in this article that the person who was driving the pickup truck, he was not given any jail time. Not at all. Zero. In fact, he was only given probation, as well as having his license suspended for 2 years. And I was just like, well, what on earth are you talking about? It's just like, I mean, the name of the driver was Troy Pierson, and he did plead guilty to one count of vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence, sentenced to 1 year of probation, 300 hours of community service, and his driver's license was suspended for 2 years. And I was just thinking, what on earth is going on with our justice system in America? And I know that this was nearly 30 years ago, but still, it's just like, where is the justice in America sometimes? Vehicular manslaughter because he was drunk driving, 0 jail time. And it's just like, where really is the justice in something like that? 1 year probation, license suspended for 2 years, 300 hours of community service for killing someone and nearly killing other people involved. Apparently, Sam Kinison had only been married for 6 days with his current wife at the time, and she was also suffered injuries in the crash, but she was actually able to survive. But you still got to think, though, it's just like, this is just kind of outrageous, to be honest, and you just have to wonder what on earth really is going on with the concept of justice. I mean, is there any justice in America? I mean, that would be just a challenge question to throw out to you guys right there. I mean, do you think that that is the appropriate punishment that someone should face for taking a human life? 1 year probation, 2 years of a suspended license, 3 hours of community service? That sounds like a slap on the wrist. And you might be like, well, the guy was 17, he's a minor. He caused somebody's death because of drunk driving. This isn't an example of somebody who was, like not paying attention and he accidentally hit somebody in a parking lot going 1 mile an hour. Not like that. And that person somehow passed away as a result of those injuries. Drunk driving in a head on collision, I mean, 0 jail time and just a year of probation. I mean, that sometimes people want to try minors in a certain way and give them light sentences, but there comes to a point when you're just going to be like, the response to certain issues is just too light and it is just not strong enough. And this is something that we notice in our justice system. Like, for example, you'll see that somebody could go through this exact same situation. They'll be doing 10 years in prison easily. I mean, it depends on the state you're in. It depends on the maximum sentence for the crime, I suppose. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, just from the stuff that I've seen in true crime programs over the course of the years. And you just gotta wonder where it's like, do we have any justice left at all? Or do we only have lawyers who know how to spin the situation? And, it's a real shame. Sam Kinison was driving to a sold-out performance just to entertain fans. He probably was on track to become somewhat of a comedic legend. I have never found a comedian that was more like cocaine than Sam Kinison. Someone that, like, I've never actually done cocaine, I should say, but what I was told was that cocaine, like the first time you try it, is that it's just going to be absolutely just like the most like out of this world experience. You're just going to be so high, and then the rest of the times you're just always trying to get back to that sort of amazing feeling that you had the first time, but you're still really hyped up. And that's what I can say about Sam Kinison. Like that clip that I was playing for you was actually from his first appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman. And I just remember that I could not believe how hard I was laughing when the first time I heard that, because it was just like he's just such a genuinely funny talent, a genuinely funny personality, and I mean he had a real gift with comedy. And I was listening to the podcast More Stories with Jay Moore, and somebody asked the question, are you born a comedian or do you learn how to become a comedian? And Jay Moore said very clearly, you are born a comedian. And you can see that in a guy like Sam Kinison, where it's just like, he had such a funny personality. Every sort of thing you're seeing is like, it's just a naturally funny person. He had a comedic talent, and as well as very strong vocal cords. But at the same time, it's like, it's a real shame that he was taken before his time. 6 days after being married, mind you. We never know when it's going to happen to us. We never know when, we're going to be passing away. And even in his last moments, he was talking about how he didn't want to die, but then he slowly accepted it. And it's just a real shame. And, all you can say is rest in peace to something like that. But we've never actually talked about a case of vehicular manslaughter, DUI with death on this channel, even though we cover lots of true crime. And all I can really say about it is, it is just a shame that these things happen. And I get very frustrated with the justice system. But I would actually just want to ask that question again. Do you think that there is any justification for killing someone in a DUI and getting only a year of probation, license suspended 2 years, and 300 hours of community service? Do you think that that is a justifiable response? Or that is a justifiable punishment? Like, what do you have to say about that? Once again, citing Entertainment Weekly, Kinison's death in the fast lane, and there are many other articles, and there are also a handful of other YouTube videos about the death of Sam Kinison that are ranging. They've been posted all over the years, all up and down the chronology spectrum. If you have any comments at all, I would love to hear from you, and this was our mini upload for the day. Thank you, and until next time.